Hello, I'm Teresita Reyes, and this is my video for my reflection on the teaching unit, Writing a Personal Narrative. And when I was checking my students' work, that it was the evidence for understanding, I realized that a lot of them were missing some or a lot of the elements of the personal narrative. So when I went back and checked my work, I noticed that I didn't spend enough time teaching the elements. I just went quickly over, I did a quick review for the ones that didn't knew them, and I moved on. So when I was checking the papers, I realized that this didn't work, that it wasn't a good idea. So the next time I teach this unit, one of the corrections that I will do is that I'm going to add a lot more checks for understanding to make sure that my students are really understanding what the elements are and they know how to use them. And once I check what they're missing, I'm definitely going to break down the steps a lot further in this part especially. And over here I'll add a review of the steps. That way I can go element by element and not just in general, because this was too broad this time. So the next time I will go one by one and we'll practice using them just to ensure that they know what we're doing. One of the other corrections that I would do is that I would spend more time working with them one-on-one, because that way I can target specific needs of each student. And while I'm working with one student, the rest could be doing peer editing or just working on their writing and revising their story. The other thing that I noticed when I was doing this is that when they were reading their peer work, they noticed that writing is important. So I think this was a real-world application, because a lot of my students don't think that their stories are important. So this made them realize that even simple things are important and are worthwhile sharing with others. So this, at first they were reluctant to write their stories because they were like, well, I don't have anything to share. But after I gave them some ideas and they start reading other people's work, they started getting into the mood, and they were like, oh yes, I could tell about this and this and that. And they started getting really into it. So they realized that their stories are important. Another thing with peer editing is that they not only made corrections on their own work with the feedback, but they also saw the writing of other students and were aware of things that they really didn't pay attention before. So this was an assessment for themselves, so they did their self-assessment, and it also, working step by step, gave me time to assess them on how they were working. So I think the assessment part worked well, just I really need next time to work more on making sure that the steps are clear and they are simple enough for them to move on to the next part. So in the assessments, I was assessing each part and moving on or reteaching depending on where we were at. I think this was a really good experience to teach my newcomers about writing, and they were really into it because they were telling their own stories. And the revising and using feedback from their peers was really helpful. So next time I think I'm going to use more, because this time I only had them check one story. So next time I think I'll have them read more than one, and I'll give them more time to share their feedback. Well, this was a really good experience, and I really enjoyed revisiting this and making corrections. Thank you.